Evolutionary.org, episode 640 is coming your way. Today we're going to do an interview with EVO Aussie VIP, all up from here, the real deal. So, wow, we have a ton of great topics we're going to talk about. I'm not even going to name them all right now. We're going to talk from things about his beaches, to his dog, to his log, to his amazing transformation, things he's changed in his life. We're going to talk about his cardio. He's getting in a ton of steps. We're going to talk about his retreat to try. We're going to even talk about his tomahawk steaks and his meal prepping. He's a whiz at that as well. So there's a lot to get to. First, to remind everyone, we are on Apple. We are on Spotify. We really appreciate you smash the like button. We really need your support to grow this podcast organically and make it the #1 bodybuilding podcast out there. So commenting, liking, subbing, telling your friends and family, that's how we grow it the natural way. So let's start off, Mobster. Get in here. First, I want to thank Allupfromhere, and really appreciate you coming on, Mobster.
Yeah, look, one of the things that we've said on these recent shows, is the community aspect has grown immensely, but even more so in the last few months. And having members like yourself come on has helped that. And listen, as we've done some shows with the American guys, it's the early hours, it's breakfast time for Steve. It's late in the evening for where you are, and getting you guys to come on and give us some of your time is super, super important. Like Steve said, this natural stuff, this whole back and forth community thing is super important. And so we're super grateful from both the forum community, the group of guys, the Aussie guys, the forum as a whole, the bosses, and Steve, me and myself. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Nah, it's like I feel like you don't even have to thank me. I feel like I should be thanking you guys and the rest of the Evo community and what it's provided for me. So yeah, pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you.
Perfect, perfect. So let's start off. We talked about it on the pre-show a little bit. Tell us where you were before the Allupfromhere before. What was your daily life like, going through a lot of negative things and being out of shape and all that stuff? So tell us about it.
Yeah, look, I think if to try and describe it in the best way from, I suppose, my personal point of view is I'd always worked big hours. I always tried to self-progress in other areas, like build new skill sets, build a better education, try and upskill and find a better paying job to support my family a little bit more. And I think that I devoted so much time and mental effort on that I was always a big drinker after hours. And I never sort of seen that as like a problem as such, but I reached a sort of point in my life where I sort of stopped trying to validate my drinking because of all the effort I was putting into other areas. Because I seen it start to project onto my family, and I
Yeah.
started to see the steepness of troubles that it was starting to cause. And to be honest, like it, as shameful as I hate to say this, it took me nearly 13 years to realize that.
Can you tell us
But
a little bit more about the drinking? Like, give us an idea of what you were drinking on a daily basis. Was it, this much beer, this much liquor? What was going on? Were you going to bars? What was going on there?
all right, so like in Australia, drinking is a pretty much a part of the culture. You know, like we're a big drinking country. You go mow the lawn, you have a beer. You go to a sporting event, you have a beer. You catch up with mates, you have a beer. You know, party beer. You relax, have a beer. You're upset, you have a beer. It's just I think as a culture, we allow it to tick so many boxes. So like I used to use a lot of like recreational drugs when I was younger. I was quite self-destructive in that sense, but just I wouldn't say like every young bloke sort of growing up, but a lot of fellas that are on Evo as well, cut from a similar cloth, you know, growing up, finding your place, finding your feet in the world as well, still mucking around with mates, getting up to some bad shit. But I was always a good person, you know, like I was never self-destructive towards anyone else. But after I met my missus, she pretty much gave me an ultimatum with that sort of lifestyle, and I sort of give it away. Um, the part of where I sort of started drinking is I think you sort of find something to substitute something with something else, if that makes sense. And it was still a way for me to, I suppose, escape the stresses of my day-to-day life. So you're working hard, you're doing big hours, you're doing big travel. It was an excuse to sort of wind down. So like on an average day, I'd probably drink maybe 6 to 8 beers or 6 to 8 drinks, whatever it was. And then every now and then, like on a Thursday night, you might light up a little bit harder. And then on the weekends, on the weekends it was on, like there'd be a day every single weekend where you'd light up. But that's like in the blue collar world in Australia, that's kind of normal behavior. So it does sort of mask what what's seen as a problem to people that don't drink. And now that I see that as a problem myself, now that I don't drink, but at the time I didn't see it as a big problem.
Good for you. So how long have you been sober?
Now, well, it would be probably July last year.
Good for you, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
always
it's
tell
not
people
long, but
I haven't touched alcohol in 20 years, and it's like I don't even have any desire to mess with it. Like, so it's just like I don't give a shit, you know? So it's like what caused, what's been helping you? Has it been avoiding the bad crowd, or not necessarily bad crowd, but the crowd that does drink? Has it been
Yeah.
have you had a hard time avoiding alcohol, or is it something where it's been like easy for you?
oh, so like I actually haven't said I would stop drinking. I just actually stopped drinking. Does that make sense? Like I
No,
just reached a
that's
point
right.
where I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, this is serving me no purpose.
Mm,
And I'd seen what I was doing in other parts of my life where I was so constructive. So I was like, why do I keep allowing this to be destructive as well?
yeah.
Like, I
Because
just
you can
think
be
that
more constructive, you can be more positive, and you have more power, so to speak, to do the other things to be even more successful in those areas.
110%. And I think it's just sort of reached a point where I was like, I I can shift my attention and my energy into something else right now.
Yeah, yeah,
So I just said, fuck it. Like I seen myself in the mirror. I was like, like you really let yourself go. My wife's always stayed very fit and she's always stuck by me too. Like she doesn't really get into me. Like she would let me know when the times were getting a little bit stiff and, where
yeah,
she wasn't really liking the situation, but she was always
yeah.
very supportive. So, for her sake and fairness towards her, like I had to change something too because fuck, it's not all about me, and I think a lot of people get so caught up in fucking playing the victim that,
Mm,
they forget the more important things like I'm still a father, I'm still a husband, I still have a duty
yeah,
to them and a responsibility to
yeah.
them to take responsibility of my own actions. So it had to happen. And it
Steve,
had to happen sooner than later.
let me let me touch on the culture a tiny bit. I live, it's not where I was born and brought up. I've only lived there for the last 12 or 13 years, but I live, as some of the listeners will know, in the valleys of South Wales, which was very much coal mine. The coal from what we had went to the navies. It went all over the world in the Victorian era. And one of the things that used to happen here, Steve, this is just a cultural history thing to sort of back up what you were saying, was that the girls, the wives, used to have to go to the mines when the guys got paid on a Friday to take the housekeeping off the guys at the fucking gate. Otherwise, the guys would take all of that money and go to the pub. And the idea that you've been down a mine, digging, breathing in coal dust, the first thing you fancied doing when you finished work on a Friday was go and have a beer. The problem was, if they went straight from the mine on a Friday, they would literally drink their wages away over the weekend, and they would have no food
Wow,
in the house
I didn't know
because
that.
of, so that's 100 plus years. And the idea, which we all do this is the thing that comes into training and bodybuilding and the culture that we talk about on the shows. I do it. I do it. If I have an epic workout, I'm having that fucker tub of ice cream later because I fucking deserved it. If I'm working my ass off, and the idea of having a beer because I worked up my ass off on a Friday, and I've done this back in the day, but not to that extreme perhaps, was that I would definitely stop on the way home and have a couple of beers with my dad, as I used to do then. And I mean a couple of beers. So there's a sort of reward thing. We see this with the obesity stuff in society, with the idea of, well, I work, I'm a good dad, I'm a good parent, I've given my kids a nice present for Christmas, I can do a little bit of sniff at the weekend, or I can eat that fucking pizza, or we can order in Uber Eats. And I like the fact that all up from here has kind of in a way said, hang on, I am absolutely fucking smashing certain aspects of my life and I'm abusing shit. How much more would I smash the shit? How much better would I be as a dad, as a person doing these other things if I spent that energy and the money and was slightly less self-destructive in that particular way? And I think the thing is, and he's a great example of this, as those of you can come onto the forum and look at his log, we'll see. look at the positive fucking energy that he puts out, which we're going to touch upon, and look at the success that he's had by doing exactly what he said, by focusing the energy, by putting this extra impetus that was going on this other thing into something that's that much more positive. And we talk about that with addiction shows. We talk about that with just normal stuff. This isn't crazy shit, but at the same time, that little shift of energy has become something fucking special in a arguably more positive way. So yeah, look, yeah.
So let me just remind everyone, all up from here, you can look them up on the forum. If you go on the top right, hit the search button and you search by member, just put in ALLUPFROMHERE, all up from here. And his posts will pop up. You can search for his posts. In his signature on all his posts, you can see his various logs. And we're talking about on the pre-show, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 logs that he's done. He also has a dog thread, and we're going to talk about his dog later on the show. And his current log, you guys can follow, is called 16-week summer cut cycle log closing 2025. So it started in September, early September, and he's going to be closing it for the rest of the year. So you can follow along if you would like. So all from here, before we move on and start talking more about that, what prompted the change? You said your wife pushed you, she supported you. What else pushed you to say, you know what, enough is enough? Was it an economic thing? Because we talked with Van Life, and I asked him how much he was spending on, how much would he say he spent just on his recreational drugs, not counting other stuff. And he's like, it's like over $1 million he spent. Was it an economic thing where you said, you know what, look at all this money I'm wasting, as Mobster just said, the way they used to do in the caves, in the mines, or is it something else?
Nah, it wasn't a financial sort of thing or an economic sort of thing. Like I've always pushed for a job that's paid pretty good money, or I've always found to upskill myself to find a better job that pays good. To be honest, I was like fucking blottoed one night, and I just remember seeing the look on my wife's face, and I was just like, I don't know why it hit me like a ton of bricks then, and it hadn't done before, but I was just like, this is not fair on the rest of the family right now, and I need to do better.
Do you remember the show scene that we did with Harley Guy when Harley Guy died and come back? And the thing that done him was his dad having to give his son his present that Harley Guy gone out and brought. And the simple idea for Harley Guy was, I wasn't there to give my son the golf clubs that I brought him for his fucking birthday. And that was what fucked him. That's what sort of set him back. It literally had to be resuscitated from fucking his heart stopped, and he still carried on. But the idea that he wasn't as good a dad as he was fucking imagined himself to be, that's what fucking bit him on the ass, and that's what turned him around. So it can be stupid stuff. It can be, and I say stupid stuff, literally the look on your wife's face, and you go, fuck this shit. What the, no, fuck enough. Enough is enough. I'm going to fucking turn this shit around. The thing for me, and I talk about this with the guys in the gym, I said, I'm quite good at this. Find out what I used to call the red button. The do not fucking press except in case of emergencies button on your chest. I said, and I used to find it out as a coach when I was helping people, and I would find out what the fuck it was. And then I would press that button when you was having a shit day. I would press that button when you needed to kick up your ass. And then, but I would save it. I wouldn't press it every fucking workout. I wouldn't press it all the fucking time, but I'd be the cunt that comes over and whispers in your ears, right, make your wife proud, make the kids proud. Bosh, press that fucking button. You give me that fucking look just for a second, I'm going to fucking hate you, you bastard. And then you go out and tear your fucking shit up and fucking get stuff done. And then you turn around and go, I was going to smack you the fucking in the mouth, but now I fucking love you, you bastard. You fucking done it, you've done it. But look at where we are. Look at the fucking success you're having. That's the shit I like. So listen, guys, listeners, it can be very difficult for people to come on here and talk about this shit and just for a second get the sense of emotion that perhaps they had at the time, but they are doing it, one, to be open and honest, and it's helping them, and two, to help you, the listener. So get something from All Up in Here's message, get something from All Up in Here's journey. Talk a little bit more now about from then to where you are now, the progress you've made, the energy that you've put in, and the success that you're creating day in, day out, every time you're kicking ass in the gym and pushing yourself in your log.
Yeah, that's the funny part for me now is like as I sort of progress and I started losing weight and you know you get a little bit stronger in the gym, your confidence starts to build. That really projects into the other parts of your life. So even like little day-to-day stresses and all that stuff, you just feel so much more
Yeah.
equipped to deal
Yes.
with it head on, and you make better decisions. You don't act as impulsively. You feel more in control of
Yeah.
everything. And as my journey just got better and I made even more progress in the gym and my health, and I think that just everything just started to compound after that. Like I feel
Mm.
now, I don't really feel like anything can sort of hurt me in a sense. Like any of life's dramas, like I can be pressed with anything that would happen with work or any dramas that would happen with my children. And to me, it's just like, all right, this is just more work that I need to get through now. Like I just got to get to work and make it happen. There's no excuses for it. So
A couple of years ago, I was doing a job, and one of the fellas says to me, "Nothing's stressing you." Says the fucking building's not on fire. What's the problem? No one's dying. What's the fucking problem? Because we do stuff that really pushes us really hard. Blood pressure through the roof, veins throbbing, sweating your fucking ass off, doing stuff when you're tired, lifting hundreds and hundreds of fucking pounds. You go, okay, if the building's not on fire, if no one's fucking dead, why am I getting stressed? Why should I be stressed about traffic? Because I'm going to go do something in the gym that 1% of people can do. I'm trying to get myself into a shape that 0.5% of people can do. I'm doing epic shit every fucking day. So this other stuff that used to annoy me is now nothing because I know that's nothing. You're measuring it up against the stuff that you are doing. That's fucking, again, it's one of those things. And you get a reward. Every time you look in the fucking mirror, you're getting a reward. You are seeing what your efforts are doing. You're seeing the progress you're making. And we're going to touch upon this as well. You are getting supported in that way as well. All the positive shit you're doing becomes stuff that people are supporting as well.
So it's,
Weirdly, nearly always men saying it, not women. As in, you're looking great, geezer. You're looking amazing, bro. Because it'd be nice if it was the women, but weirdly, other people
yeah.
in the community, like gym goers, going, yes, and go, listen, you're turning the fuck out, man. You're looking amazing. That's really, really cool.
So that's great. Yeah. So let's talk about your log. And as I mentioned, you guys and gals out there can follow along 16 week summer cut cycle log closing 2025. It's in his signature. This is the one we're talking about. You started in early September of 2025. Took 36 years old, 177 centimeters, which is almost 5'10". Weight 86.4 kilograms. 86 kilograms to pounds is going to
Mine is
be,
198,
yeah,
so 86 would be about £8 left, about 190
yeah,
pounds.
about 190 pounds. Perfect. And that's where you started. So where are you at now compared to where you were 2 months ago?
it's funny, like I took a big drop in weight at the start, but I think I got my ratios on my cycle a little bit wrong because I was using EQ for my first time and I
Okay.
like nuked my estrogen. So like I
Mm,
dropped like a heap of water weight. And obviously when you change your diet structure and all that stuff too, like your body adapts to quick changes and
Yes.
that too. So I dropped down to I think in the first 3 weeks I dropped down to about 81.8 or something. And I was like,
Wow.
fuck, like I'm trying to retain what muscle I can and this is just going too far. And then I remember speaking to Lev Butler and
Yeah.
on my log, and I was like, what am I doing here? Or like, what should I do here? Do I hold the line, or do we roll this out for another couple of weeks and see what's happening? I went and got some more blood work done that week, and then we picked up on the estrogen, and
Awesome.
yeah, once we started to attack that and sort of smooth that out as well, the weight started coming back up. But I was actually able to still keep a lot of my leanness. Like I still kept me ab or
yeah.
what abs I did have and all that stuff too. So yeah, but now that the E2 sort of come back up into range, I
You feel
definitely
better?
feel a lot better. Yeah,
Yeah, I can
fuck yeah,
imagine.
like
Yeah.
it's different. Man, I didn't realize how bad that could actually make you feel.
Yeah, low
Just super,
estrogen,
super
definitely. Yeah.
flat.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your cycle a little bit on the log. You have a very impressive list of supplements as well, which is incredible. And the guys and gals out there can check that out. Anything from the krill oil for your joints to the glutamine to the TUDCA for your organs, the CoQ10, which is great, and in different vitamins. Your cycle itself, this is the juicy stuff a lot of people like. 16
Mm.
week was the plan. 500 milligrams test E, 400 milligrams EQ, as you touched on. 25 milligrams per Viron daily, and then the Retruda Tri 2.5 milligrams, which is, by the way, we're seeing evidence both anecdotal and through the studies, that it actually helps with addictions as well. So that is a great thing also that you're doing. The 5 milligram Cialis, you can touch on how that's helping you, and then you are stacking the BPC and TB 500, which is great for the joints. Then weeks 10 to 16, the additions plan: 200 milligrams Trenase, 300 milligrams Masteron Probe, and then the 60 micrograms cleanse. So any changes from that blueprint that you started out with, and what prompted the changes?
Yeah, there's some there's some decent changes now. So rather than bring my EQ down to try and lower its effect on or that it was having on me with my estrogen, I decided to bump my test up, and I moved it to 750 a week. We done some more bloods after the 5 week mark, and the estrogen was still quite low. So I'm actually at a gram a test a week right now, and estrogen and EQ still at 400. And to be honest, this is like the best I've ever felt on a cycle. Like, I feel fantastic. I feel strong. I
Great.
feel like controlled aggression in the gym. Like when I'm in there, man, I just want to fucking like snap barbells. It is like so good. And I've been at a gram earlier on in the year, and I felt like absolute fucking garbage. Like just bloated, couldn't control E2, was very naive, a lot more naive back then as well. But right now it's sort of worked out. But I did bring a coach in who's a member also on EVO, and he logs on EF as well, Pop Rocks, just to sort of get some, not just guidance, but just allow him to sort of take the reins when I started getting too emotionally involved on results. You know, I've spoke about this in a couple of the other boys' logs. You know, they're like saying, "Oh, I see the weight's not moving, or I don't feel like I'm changing, and I think I'm going to do this, or I think I'm going to do that." So many people make changes before a change needs to be made just because we are emotionally attached to what we actually see. And it makes it difficult when we're looking at ourselves every single day in the mirror because we don't notice the changes that are happening, like over, say, the course of a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So I do try to encourage a lot of the other members to like, don't become a slave to the scales, like take progress photos and then compare them at like a fortnight mark or a month mark. You will see changes. But yeah, for him just to
Something that
sort of,
stood out from your comments there, sorry to interrupt, is this: you're having arguably more frequent blood tests than we've talked about on shows. We say get pre-bloods, before cycle bloods, at least one test if you can during a cycle, and then typically one again post-cycle. The idea that you've had 3 or 4 blood tests throughout has enabled you to monitor what was going on with your body, not in a how do I feel, how do I look kind of way, but literally seeing the numbers that you've got. So again, this is one of those things that listeners that could be listening to this show could learn from you by saying, hang on, if I have the cash, I can go off and get every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, whatever, a 16-week cycle, 4 times, plus pre's, plus post cycles for PCT, etc. And literally not think I know what's going on, actually see my lipids, actually see where my numbers are. And as you said, especially I noted the idea that you've realizing that you had an estrogen issue and actually seeing what was going on in your body and being able to fix that. And so much better that you feel the best you've ever done because you know exactly what's happening. You can see what's happening and you can stop it getting out of control.
yeah, I think it's important. Like, it's, you don't really want to be shooting for the hip. And I think, especially on guys that are sort of coming onto Evo now, like it's so encouraged to know exactly what's happening to your body. And we all encourage blood work. So I don't know why people, I'm not saying that they avoid it, but, you know, they don't prioritize money towards the blood work. They prioritize money towards buying gear and then jumping on gear. And then when shit goes wrong, they can find themselves in a difficult spot where
I've said this. How are you comfortable with spending? I've said this. How are you comfortable? This is again to members. Why are you comfortable spending $1,000 on a cycle and then cheaping out on a $50 or $60 or $80 test to see what the fuck's going on? Why are you okay with the idea of spending $1,000 but not wanting to do a proper PCT and all that kind of stuff? And so, yeah, it makes no sense to me in that regards. Don't invest in your body the $1,000 plus the gym fees plus the food, and then cheap yourself out of a $50 or $60 test that will give you exact, proper indication of exactly what's going on, and arguably meaning you get more out of your cycle, more out of what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the biggest point, is just trying to like maximize your returns. Like, fuck, man, working out's hard enough, like putting in the effort's hard enough, cooking and prepping's hard. So like, why wouldn't you want to try and get everything back? And if that means doing some blood works and making sure everything's synchronized perfectly or as best as you can make it, why wouldn't you want to do that? That's the way I feel towards it.
Tell us a little bit about the Retruditride, the difference that it's making across the board.
Yeah, that's honestly that's like one of my top three right now. And obviously I'm still in my adolescent stages of like PED use and peptides, but that has been a significant game changer for me. And I think so for a lot of the other members too. Like a lot of the other people are noticing that stuff like clenbuterol still has its place, but the health impacts are not really making it redundant when you have things like GLPs, but it
Yeah.
is on the
Yeah.
back burner now. It's a lot more safer to be able to use it, the
What
GLPs.
what what benefits have you seen with it,
All right,
specifically?
for me, it's like the hunger noise was obviously the love at first sight attraction to it, and I started taking that at low doses, and that was good. It just allowed me to control all the unnecessary food noise, still allowed me to get my food in and all that stuff. But the insulin sensitivity as well was a big thing that I noticed on it when I was using not high amounts of growth hormone, but higher amounts of it. And the effect it had on my blood work too. So I noticed a lot of stuff with like my cholesterol started coming down a little bit, which my cholesterol was never really sort of super out of range or anything to like that. And I think obviously the supplementation does have an input. But like even when I was on tren earlier on this year, like my lipids was still intact. So I don't understand it completely from a scientific point of view, but the studies and stuff that I have read, and then the reflection it showed in my blood work, definitely can parasite. So
Okay. And then the Cialis, are you still on the Cialis daily? And what has that done for you?
I originally just took that to start with the EQ just to help with like blood flow and blood pressure, and obviously it's healthy for your heart and all that stuff as well. Um, I was taking it a little bit when I was on the trend because I had a couple of dramas downstairs when I was running the dose too high. But then obviously dropped the trend and yeah, done a little bit more research with the Cialis and noticed a few more people were taking it throughout like an entire cycle and had a
Hmm.
bit of a chat with them on their logs and just implemented it for this one and
Good, good.
keeps everything moving forward. Like I'm on close to 1.5 grams a gear. My blood pressure is still 120 over 61 and doesn't really budge from that. I think the highest it's been is like 128 over like 67. So
Yeah, it's very, very
everything's still
healthy.
quite
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And then the Proviron, how do you like that?
The, I think it's good. And I just like a little bit of hardness that you sort of get from it. I
Hmm.
think you boys sort of were the bigger convincing side as to the reasons why I sort of implemented it this time because I actually hadn't run it before. I'd always just sort of use a bit of Masteron when I was reusing cycles and stuff too, as like the DHT, and I enjoyed the hardness from that. But yeah, it's been pretty good. So let's keep the libido nice and just a sense of feeling good as well. So that's what it's provided for me.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a cheat code to throw in there into any cycle and make everything kind of work better. So it's really cool. And then the BPC and the TB 500, did you stop it or are you staying on it?
I did stop it for a little bit, but I've reintroduced it now just because I feel like I just recover better,
Okay. Yeah, definitely. How
just
much are
from
you
from my work.
using? Are you pinning them in a specific, you're just pinning them generally around the body, or is it a specific
Yeah,
spot that
nah.
you're hitting?
So they're just like I've just been pinning them like in the stomach fat as well. Like I'm not localizing the BPC because I don't really have any acute injuries or such like that. I had like a bit of like elbow soreness as you sort of do, sort of from lifting, but that's gone away now. But yeah, I just feel like I never really get sore after my workouts, even though I know how hard I'm pushing it each time. So I've just sort of kept it in there, keep the inflammation down, and
Hmm.
it seems to be working. I don't seem to be running into any problems yet, so I'll just
I,
keep it going.
I mean, it sounds like things are buzzing right along. And then the trend and the Masteron, have you started those yet? It says, or did that plan change?
Uh, well, my coach doesn't want to implement the trend. He's not a big fan of it. I'm still not against it, and it's coming there. So look, it could. We've got 8 weeks left now, and it could make a cheeky look in at around the 6 week mark, I reckon.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Yeah. So you never used Trend before, right?
Nah, I did. I used Trent earlier on in the year,
How'd that
but
go? Crazy, huh?
oh, it's yeah, it was a different monster, and I run it way too high at the start too. Like I never got like mental problems from it. Like I was never got the roid rage that some people get. But the sweats of a nighttime and the insomnia just got so bad. I was like, fuck, it was like, is this even fucking worth it for me? And I ended up dialing it back all the way to 200. And that was a really good spot for me. Like I made huge changes. I felt much better. I was getting more sleep. The sweats would calm down a little bit. Like I would take some carbs and stuff just before bed. But it was funny. Like found certain carb sources would make me sweat more, but it did help me sort of sleep. So
Yeah, I've talked about that a lot, on the podcasts and on the forums with carbs. It's almost like you got to spread your carbs out when you're on trend because it's like a sponge where it makes your muscles so damn insulin resistant. So it kind of sucks up all the carbs. So if you're not getting sufficient carbs to refeed, then you start getting those side effects. The worst is like waking up in the middle of the night and you're in a pool of sweat and you're like shaking. You're like, what the hell is wrong with me? And that would happen to me when I used to use trend when I didn't eat enough carbs that day. So did you notice that when you weren't eating enough carbs, that the side effects would get worse and worse.
yeah, like real bad
Yeah,
too.
yeah, scary.
Sometimes you would
Yeah,
like, how would I describe it? It's like, yeah, it makes you feel like you fucking haven't eaten in 2 days, and when you start to get
yeah,
the shakes a little bit,
yeah. I
it's
used
sort of, yeah, it
to
was wild.
because I used to have a bunch of dogs, and my girlfriend at the time was in the Navy, so she was really, really active. And we used to take the dogs for like long hikes. I had to take like little, I had to go to the pharmacy and get those little sugar pills that diabetics have to carry around, just then
Yeah,
keep them
yeah,
in my backpack while I was hiking. So it kind of sucks. Like it kind of fucks up, your lifestyle a little bit. That's why I don't see myself using trend going forward just for that reason. So, but you seem very active with the steps. Talk about the steps thing. How are you getting those steps done? Is it you doing the step climber sometimes, stair climber, or are you doing steps in another way?
honestly, it all comes from my employment, like my place of work. Man, like we're on the move flat out, and I run it. Oh, this was during the year I was running a crew of riggers, so I was working on high rise construction at the time. So man, you're up and down stairs, like you're moving around the site, you're chasing like areas, and you're carrying like these big. They're called like a precast prop, so it's like a steel sleeve of like a tube, and it gets pinned to a concrete wall to help support it after we land it with a crane. But these things like can vary from 30 kilos to like 60 kilos. So like you're lugging that shit around by hand all across the site, and you just get the steps in. Like you look at lunchtime to sit down and have something, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm already at 12,000 here, and you still got another fucking 6 hours after that to go before you finish up. So you just naturally get them in. But I sort of utilize that as my cardio because I'd always be working long hours, and I live out in the country, but I work in the city, so the travel's big too. I'd probably spend like 3 hours a day traveling and trying to still work out in the gym and then add more cardio in on top of that. You're just
yeah.
not really getting any time. Like it's not making any excuses to not do it. Like you are genuinely not getting enough time. Like I'm away from home 16 hours of the day. I train for
Yeah.
about an hour and 15 minutes already, and then you still got to throw in an hour of cardio on top of that. Like you never see the
I don't.
family.
I think sometimes that people, when they look at diets and training and stuff, especially people that have never done it before, kind of either overestimate the work that they're doing on other things, including walking or whatever else, or underestimate it. But you're literally being physical, doing the work that you're doing, as well as getting the steps in, and to a much less degree than you. And this would be my last proper job. A good, sensible day in that job would be 17,000 hours. And apart from walking to the railway station and coming home, I wasn't doing any other steps for the rest of the day. But I was doing 17,000 fucking steps at work with no effort. I try to get a certain level every single day, but I know that, not that I want to, but if I had to go back to work, I'd guarantee you I'd be doing another 12 or 15,000 steps per day more than I am. So the idea of, as I was, doing a 12-hour shift plus the traveling, etc., and in the crack of 4 o'clock in the fucking morning or something, trying to get 3 or 4 thousand steps in, and at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, trying to get 3 or no, fuck that shit. It depends how many days a week you're doing or whatever. One of the things I also did, and I said this on a log the other day, they said, oh, they hadn't hit their steps target for that day, but they'd done an epic amount the day before. And I said, look, it's your activity over the whole week. And it's even silly things, and I apply this to myself, and I'm sure because you're being physical, you do. If you were just plodding around, taking the fucking chill kind of relaxed kind of day and getting a lot of steps, that's not the same as grafting or shifting your ass and really sort of getting your heart rate elevated and that. And then the idea, as you said, why would you want to do that, which you are doing, and then go into the gym? The only thing that annoys me a little bit is the people that drive to the gym to then, where they live within walking distance, then get on the treadmill and walk on the treadmill. You could have just fucking walked. Just walked. Yeah, that's the thing's a bit crazy. But yeah, 20 odd thousand steps a day, Steve, is up there. A buddy of mine who Kirk Daw, I'll mention him. He's a painter and decorator, and I think he's getting 20,000 steps in the fucking house that he's painted. He's that active anyway. So yeah, you're absolutely doing it, mate. If you wasn't physical, if you were sitting in an office, you'd have to get your steps in. If you were sitting on your ass, you'd have to. Yeah, but you're definitely, the idea that you would have to do cardio on top of the cardio you're already kind of doing, even moderately at low level, is no, you don't need to. You're doing stuff when you're working, you're burning calories. When you're grafting, when you're lifting one of them props around and getting 20,000 plus steps in, you're definitely doing something there. I want to ask, and I said this before, Steve, and we could talk about other things as well. Talk about, as you said, the space between your ears, that mental, what gets you through the fucking day, what drives you. I know you've touched on it in terms of success and other aspects of your life. But in the gym, you're in the gym, it's a shitty kind of slow kind of day. How do you G yourself up? This is again for the benefit of listeners. How do you go, right, I'm fucking going to do this, bend the bar, I'm going to tear shit up when you're having a slow day, when you're a bit tired? How do you motivate yourself to get shit done?
For me, and don't get me wrong, I'm not always going in the gym where I'm fucking hungry as, you do get flat days, you do get big days of work. But then I give myself a little bit of a chance to sort of think the time is going to pass you anyway. So you can sit here and be half-assed about it, or you're here now, you might as well fucking give it a hot crack and get it done. Because you can walk out of here feeling satisfied with what you just done, or you can walk out playing the victim again that you've done your whole fucking life and be no better off than when you first walked in. So that's for mentally, that's for me. That's just you are here now. Let's make the most of what you got.
I've told people, if you come and listen to me in my little corner over by the power rack, and you was able to hear me muttering away to myself, you'd be hearing me going, come on, you fat fucking bastard, get fucking shit done. People are fucking watching, you got to do it. So I said, I'm really kind of nice. I even talking to you now, kind of nice and geeing you up and encouraging you, whatever else. But in terms of what I say to myself, it's very much a sort of, what the fuck do you come to the fucking gym for, you fat bastard? Fucking lift the weights, get it done. And then obviously do it. And I can train at home. No, I go to the local gym because I walk there, I get warmed up. Now I'm fucking here. I've fucking got to do it. Let's fucking go. So yeah, look, guys, there's always going to be days when you're tired. There's always going to be days when whatever. But it's that lack of excuses and get shit done and realizing that you're only lifting the weight for 90 fucking seconds per set. You're only going to be doing actual training time in terms of all the seconds added together, 15 or 20 minutes in an hour. And that's out of your whole fucking day. And you're only going to be doing that 4 times a week. So you're only actually working, training, lifting weights, moving shit around, getting the reps in 80 or 90 minutes a week. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking get shit done.
It's very, very important here. One of the key things about all this is food. If your food isn't on point. So touch upon your food. You are a magician with the food prep. Is that you doing the food prep? Is it you and your wife? Is it your wife? And tell us about the different foods that you're prepping. How are you prepping all this food? What kind of utensils are you using? Air fryer, oven, pans? Tell us, help the listeners out there so they can food prep in a more efficient way.
All right, so I eat super fucking boring. I've been eating the same meals for fucking nearly 12 months. Only little things sort of swap around. But I eat that because it's so manageable, it's easy to prep, and I can just have everything ready. I think that's the most important part for me. So I eat fuckloads of rice. I've come from an Asian heritage, so I've always eaten rice, so it's easy for me to digest.
So how are you cooking the rice? Do you have a rice cooker or do you cook
Rice
it?
cooker, yeah, just a rice cooker. That's easy.
Is it a
I just
big
work
one?
out how many meals.
one of those big ones that restaurants use, and you cook a whole bunch at once? Tell us some secrets about cooking rice. Do you add some salt to it? Do you add some coconut oil? What do you do to make the rice good on the in the
Um,
rice cooker? What's your secret?
well, yeah, I don't add nothing to the rice. I just eat the plain rice. But I think for me, what makes the good rice is getting the right rice to water ratio before you start. So that was like a big thing in my household growing up. Like
Yeah,
if you cook shit rice, if it was too wet down or if it was too dry, like
yeah,
you cop
that's
a
a
little bit
secret.
from your
Yeah, you gotta
mum.
find the
Yeah.
ratio. The ratio. I like to do like a little more than 2 to 1. Water
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a
that's it.
little
Just a
more.
little bit more than 2 to 1.
Yeah,
So when it's sitting there,
yeah.
it's not drying out on you. But I just weigh my rice. So like whatever weight rice I put in dry weight, I'll weigh my water as well,
Okay,
and I'll just double that and put a little bit more.
okay, that's a
And then
good
I know
tip.
every single time that because a kilo of water is a kilo of weight. Like a liter of water is a kilo, so you can
Yeah.
measure that out.
So I see in your
You know.
log too, it looks like you cook chicken like in a big pot on the stove top. Is that your secret?
Yeah,
What are you doing
I
there?
use the stove. I just cook up, so I'll probably cook like a kilo of chicken at a time, and that'll give me 4 servings. Normally, eat about 250 grams of chicken in each meal that I have. I don't cook for the whole week with the chicken because
It
trying to
goes
reheat
bad.
that shit at
Yeah.
like on the fifth day is like
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
shit.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
with
it's
you. I like
garbage.
to do twice a week. So with the chicken, what's your secret with cooking a good chicken in the pan? Do you flip it like many times? Do you flip it once? Do you just
Nah,
mix it?
I use a thermometer.
Ah, okay.
So like yeah, so like if I'm doing the bigger pieces and stuff, I just have like a meat thermometer, and then you just know the internal temperature that it's meant to be, and then it's never too dry, it's never undercooked,
So what
easy goes, brother.
temperature are you looking for?
About 75. Normally I try to get it to 75, and then by the time it rests, it's at 80, and then you're good to go. Like you probably could leave it like rest to 75, but fuck, you don't want to be risking raw chicken either. So
Okay. So 80 degrees Celsius, I just did the calculation is 176 Fahrenheit. So they usually say in America to cook your poultry at least 165 Fahrenheit. So he's going 10 degrees above the minimum. So that's a good number. And what are you using to season it up? Salt, pepper, anything?
there's a brand over in Australia called Mingle, and there was a lady that tried to create some organic, like dry seasonings that were on the healthier side of things,
Hmm.
like without all the additives. So, like, there's a heap of different range of flavors that she makes, and that's pretty much how I swap my meals. So I'm eating the same meals all the time. I just change the seasoning, so it kind of feels like I'm eating something different. But it's just still easy to eat the same meals rather than trying to cook
Okay.
different shit every single week.
And we talked about on the pre-show your tomahawk steaks. Tell me about that. Are those expensive? And how do you like to cook those?
He
Yeah,
wants
so
to
I don't
cook
really
some.
sort
He
of
wants
buy
to cook. Sorry, you want to cook something for me,
it,
mate? Fuck what he's talking about.
yeah,
What
those
about?
go.
No, I was going to say,
Oh,
I will occasionally buy myself one as a treat. They're not cheap, Steve. They're typically 26 to 32 ounces, even with the bone on. And I have the short bone, not the long bone. And you're still looking at probably about 23, 24 ounces of meat after you take the bone out. I like a bit of fat. You literally pan fry the fuckers, and then this is what I do: pan fry them and then roast them like a joint in the oven. And I might maybe not eat 2 ounces. The cats get 2 ounces, but I would try to put that whole fucking thing away. Otherwise, it's
Cats get their
yeah,
share,
a
huh?
bit of fat. They get the chew on the bone and they maybe get 2 ounces if I can't put the other 26, 27 ounces away. So they are a big fucking treat. So when I saw those, I was like, that looks fucking stunning.
Yeah.
I've
So
got to,
how
I've got
are
to
you cooking
fucking,
it all up? Are you putting
yeah,
it on the
yeah.
grill? What's your
no,
secret?
that was funny because I was away on the weekend with the family in the caravan. We It's a long weekend over here, so we just try to hit the coastline and relax. And I have like a smaller barbecue or like a grill, as you guys call it, that we take with us. So we're at this caravan park or what you guys are calling RV park, and then I start cooking up, and people are looking at the size of these steaks that are barely fitting on my barbecue. But because I reverse seared them, so I'll try and bring them up to say 10 degrees off internal, like final internal temperature, final cooked internal temperature, and then I'll hit them on the actual grill plate that's like blazing hot. Because I find if you hit them first on the grill and then you try to cook them through, you sort of lose the crispiness of the crust on the outside. So I cooked them for about an hour and then yeah, just cranked the heat and then put them down. And then we went out and sat around the communal table, and yeah, she definitely got a bit of attention walking out with two massive tomahawk steaks for the group we were with. But it was good. They come out really good.
And then you can use the bone for bone broth too. Do you do that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't actually make my own bone broth, but I do have bone. I do take bone broth. Yeah,
Yeah, that's good
that was
stuff, huh?
yeah, it was an addition that I sort of started taking earlier on the year because Lev was sort of getting into me and sort of showed me the benefits of it. So anything that was good and that's going to help, I'm all keen for.
Talk about the one last thing before we move on is the dessert that you post. I see this maybe every 3, 4 pages. You post a nice dessert. It looks like it's got berries and maybe almond butter or peanut butter. And tell us your secret on that because it looks really good.
Yeah, that's not a dessert. That's a breakfast. That's like a I use that as like a
It looks
toast.
like a
Yeah,
dessert,
that
you know?
yeah, it looks a lot. So my wife makes them for me. They're just like an overnight oats with a bit of almond milk and a little bit of cinnamon, and then she puts some blueberries and some almond butter in it, and it's just easy to eat. So yeah, and it's a nice little treat. It tastes nice too. So
Cool. So tell us,
it's nice to get a little bit of flavor.
Mobster on the pre-show was talking about your gorgeous beaches. So tell us a little bit
Oh
about
yeah.
the environment and their location of Australia. Are you on the northeast part of Australia, the more tropical side, or
Nah, I'm like far southeast.
and is that a
So
cold beach? Is it usually cold over there because they're closer to the
no, I
how
was
cold?
actually, it's funny. I was having this conversation with Beamy the other day. Like, we can get temperatures up to 45 degrees in our state, and then 2 days later, it can be 18 degrees and pissing down with rain. So
Yeah.
it does change. But when the weather's hot, it's always sort of more hot around the December to say
Mhm.
February time.
What's the
The
water
beaches are really good.
temperature? Is the water temperature stay cold year round?
Yeah, on the ocean sort of side of things, like the coastline
Okay.
beaches, they do. We
So you
have
have to
big
take a
bays and
wetsuit to
inlets.
swim? You have to wear like a wetsuit?
Fuck, no
No?
way. You get in there and just cop it.
So what's
Your
the
body will adjust.
temperature? What's the temperature?
I reckon the weekend that we just went is probably about 15 degrees.
So the water is 15 degrees Celsius.
Yeah,
So
it'll get up to about 20 degrees
that would be
by Christmas.
60 Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
One of the things that Steve and I have said with the Oz members, and we've actually talked about this on other shows. I think also in pre-shows when Steve and I have been talking before shows started, saying some elements for us looking in from the outside of the Oz culture, the land and the lifestyle. And you touched upon a little bit with the booze lifestyle earlier on. We said if we was looking from the outside in onto the Oz forum, we noticed more in shape, more muscular. The it was a smaller group, but more in shape as a group, right? And we said we were sort of asking ourselves, was it the culture? Was it the fact that it's more difficult, less easy, shall we say, or that it's getting easier to get PEDs into Australia? So therefore, you didn't want to waste what you got a hold of. But also, and I said this, it's that Barbie lifestyle, the sort of eating decent food outside with your mates in the garden with the family, and then it's very much getting away if you can, as you do, and not everybody does, of course, but a good percentage of people, especially around your age group, getting into the car, driving to the beach, living, staying the weekend in an RV, whatever, and that whole sort of eating shrimps on the barbie, having steaks, like you just said, being able to go
strips on the
swimming.
barbie.
So we said, well, yes, we're not joking because Steve
Yeah.
referenced Crocodile Dundee, and I
Yeah.
said, no, that's
Well,
not everybody
well,
in
speaking of
Australia.
that, do you guys have crocodiles on your beach and do you have kangaroos hopping around?
All right, so down south we have no crocodiles. They're sort of up north, but we definitely have plenty of kangaroos. But the beaches up north are like lined with crocs.
So you can't
And like
swim?
not in certain areas, nah, no way. Especially certain some of the beaches like in the Northern Territory and all that stuff too. Like you'll get 5 meter saltwater crocs and stuff, and man,
So
they're fucking angry, eh?
they have
It's
signs.
18 foot.
They have signs that say don't swim or what?
Yeah, they do, especially like in like higher sort of volume areas where they're more prominent and stuff too. But honestly, mate, if you're swimming in the waters up north, you're risking it every time.
And do people actually get eaten by them? Like a
Fuck yeah,
lot?
people get mauled all the time.
Really?
There was a family 2 years ago, and they were making a trip up to the Cape. So the Cape York is like the most northern point of Queensland, most northern point of Australia. And they were in
Mm.
one of the lagoons there, and the father was just fishing on the bank, and the bank sort of give way, and he's gone in the water thinking nothing of it, and yeah, he got snatched up. Kids watched it happen, like
And
it's
that was
really
it?
like it's not to be sort of fucked around with like over here. Like
Wow.
I know it sounds funny to outsiders, but man, the some of the crocs here are fucking angry, eh?
They're hungry, huh? They want people, huh? They're like,
Yeah,
get
this
out of
is
my
how fuck-
mangled,
this is
territory.
how-
like, yeah, mate, they'll
we,
take
we,
cattle and stuff
Yeah.
off the fucking banks and shit, mate.
Yeah.
Steve, that's one of the things that people don't understand, and of course we don't want to sort of say take the piss out of Australia in terms of us having cultural ideas about Australia. But I think one of the things that's true is you have some of the most venomous snakes on the planet
Yeah, I was
live in
gonna ask about
Australia.
that.
The
How's that
most
with this?
venomous spiders live in Australia. You've got the world's biggest fucking dragonfly lives in Australia. And you got like, I mean, it's like half a dozen different versions of the kingfisher. We have one kingfisher here. The kookaburra is a kingfisher. You've got 6 or 7 of those fuckers. And then, as Steve said, the idea that when you drive, middle of Australia is essentially empty. And so that's when you're driving along in your truck and your car doing 100 kilometers an hour, whatever else, and seeing kangaroo after kangaroo to the point where one of the other members said, you know, we're allowed to shoot them at certain times of the year and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
you got tags and
So,
stuff. Yeah, true.
yeah. So yeah, it's kind of weird in that way. But
Mhm.
I was thinking more in terms of, I said, all joking aside, the idea that in a kind of way, bearing in mind you've only got 27 million people living in a country that's the same size as America, 21 times the size of the UK, and we got 3 times your population. It was almost that whole aspect and even cultural history that maybe encourages more Australians, certainly from our experience on the forums, to be in shape, to get into shape, to do that kind of stuff, in spite of the vast distances, in spite of the fact you can't go swimming in certain places. Just going to the beach on a regular basis is kind of healthy. Just swimming in a sea is kind of healthy. Just having a fucking barbecue meal instead of having a takeout is kind of healthy.
So
Certainly healthy.
yeah. So speaking of that, let's talk about a little bit like, have you ever eaten snake? Have you eaten crocodile? Have you ever eaten kangaroo?
Oh yeah, I haven't eaten snake, but I've eaten crocodile. It's quite nice. I actually love the taste of roo meat, but I cannot fucking stand the way it smells when it's being cooked. Like
Ah,
I hate it so much that it's put me off eating it. It's just such a gamey smell.
okay.
It's yeah, it's
It's a
fucking shit.
very
But it's
I'm
funny
strong.
honest with
because
Steve.
yeah,
Steve,
very strong, very strong smell.
I've eaten all 3 of those things, but I got my stuff from an exotic meat supplier here in the UK. So ironically, not living in Australia, I've actually eaten all 3 of those.
And you,
Little black market meat dealer.
No, there's an actual online company called Kizzy or something, and you can buy. One of my favourite ones was, I think, it was crocodile and pork burgers. So they were actually kind of sweet with a little bit of
Nice.
apple in it. It was fucking stunning. So, and then I think
Huh.
you could have
That actually
zebra from
sounds
that
pretty
company
good.
and kangaroo. Yeah, ostrich burgers. They're doing Asda, which is essentially the UK version of Walmart. So I can buy ostrich burgers locally. So yeah. I've
Cool.
had all of those things, Steve, including the snake. Snake was boring.
Snake was boring. So
Yeah.
let's move on to your dog. You have a cool looking dog. There's a thread about your dog. His name is is it Loki? Loki?
Yeah, Loki. Yeah, Loki.
Loki.
Yeah.
And what kind of dog is he? He's a little
He he's a French bulldog.
okay.
Yeah. So we had a French bulldog earlier on in the year. His name was Sunny. He was with us for 3 years, but we come home and he was paralyzed on the ground. We didn't know what happened, and he must have jumped off the couch, and he had ended up IV. It's called IVDD. So it's where all like the platal discs in the spine dislodge,
Ooh,
and it
okay.
caused paralysis on him. So we rushed him to the vet. Um, I'd spoken to them, got the MRI done, and they said we can perform the surgery on this area. It was going to be about $15,000 or $20,000.
Yeah.
And look, they're family, yeah. So
Yeah.
he wasn't just like a pet to us. Like he fucking come everywhere. Like he slept in our
That's
bed every
horrible,
night.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were like, go for the surgery. And then when the MRI results come back and we seen how much damage was done down, she's like, you can spend this money. And like he takes one bump and you're back to
Yeah.
square one. I
Yeah.
was like, fuck,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it does sort of, and that killed me. Like, man,
Oh,
I
mate.
fucking love that dog more than I fucking love people.
hmm Yeah,
You
I had a
know,
dog. I had to replace her knee, and another dog. She had cancer in her neck. So the
Yeah.
same dog I had to her. She tore her ACL because I used to take her running, and I guess she twisted a certain way. And then the other time she had like a neck in her neck. She had cancer. So it cost me about that like 12 or 13,000 for both. So it's not
Yeah.
cheap at all. Sometimes I feel like these vets are like they take advantage of that. They take advantage of your empathy for your like you said, it's family.
yeah,
So
they
it's like
stitching you up.
they charge you like so much more than they
Steve,
should. Like,
Steve and I are both massive pet lovers. We both either he's got a cat, but he also feeds cats. I've got 4 cats. My Pixie, they were talking about 10,000 UK to take one of her legs off and remove half her rib cage to get a tumor, and there was no guarantee of success. And I was very matter of fact about having her euthanized, and then cried like a fucking bitch when my girlfriend who'd taken her to the vet for me brought her onto camera all dosed up, and I was like, fuck, I don't even want to see it now. And it was sort of all emotional. So yeah, it's a massive part. One of the things, positive things, and again, this is for the benefit of listeners, pets are, without you realizing it, actually good for your mental health. They're great stress relievers. They listen to you talking about your shit or your good stuff. They show you love and affection, regardless of if you had a shit day, a good day, a bad day, whatever. And even your mental health, because you can go in there and moan and groan about random shit. You can talk about the missus if you're having a shit day with the missus, and the cat or the dog will just sit there and wag its tail and love you anyway. And so there's all that kind of stuff. And even just getting you off your ass if you're feeling depressed, and taking the dog out for a fucking walk in the fresh air. So you actually, again, we talk about meal prep as being key to success. Having a pet actually helps a lot of people more than they think that it would, and so on.
100%.
Talk a little bit about now, just to sort of segue into that particular thing, you know, all joking aside about pets being supportive. You come on to Evolutionary, and something we've asked is the idea of the community, Evolutionary, and we might, if you've got time, a couple of logs that have caught your thing. So talk about the community.
How did you find
Evolutionary?
How'd you find Evo in the first place?
Me, it was funny, like a couple of years back, I thought I wanted to try and make a change, and a couple of the boys at work were pretty jacked and all that stuff too, and they were talking about gear and that, and I just started looking on the internet, and then I ended up coming across like the forum itself, and it was funny. I sort of didn't know how to navigate it. I made a profile and sort of didn't really do anything. I just popped in every now and then when I decided to make the change last year, I remembered it. So I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to put a bit of effort into this and try and see what's going on here and have a bit more of a look. And one of the boys at work said he used to be a part of a different bodybuilding forum called BS, I think it was, over in Australia. And then I started reading just a couple of logs, and you see some of the other members and all that stuff showing a bit of support. And I was like, oh, fuck, this doesn't seem like that bad a place. Because I think for a lot of members, like looking in that don't understand what we do at Evo, is they're still quite, what's the word I'm sort of looking for? Cautious maybe, or like a bit uneasy or anxious because of the whole judgment thing. And once you sort of get into Evo and you're reading through the logs and all that stuff, you realize what kind of place it is where there is no judgment. There is just actual support for everyone, no matter what stage of their journey they're in. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to ask a question here. And then it was like overwhelming with the amount of responses I had. And then the whole request for a log to sort of started to come on, and I just did. So I did start my first log there, but I was getting coached by a fella at the start just to try and give me more of an idea. And he'd set the structure out and plan, and there was a few people giving me suggestions to make changes and all that stuff as well. And I suppose that little part then was a bit conflicting for me because I wanted to try and stick to the plan that my coach was giving me because I was paying him the money. And then I kind of felt like if I didn't make the changes, I'd sort of be letting the forum down as such. That might sound a bit silly, but that's just the way I sort of felt. So I did sort of take a little bit of a hiatus until I finished with that coach. And then I come back and then, I really locked into that first log that I created. And man, we just went hard from there.
Yeah, exactly. And now it's almost funny because you went on, you got a lot of help, and you had answers. Now you're doing the same thing. Now you're doing it for others. So that's what Evo's all about. So it's about helping each other. And we're the most knowledgeable place for that reason. Like you said, like it's no judgment. And if we're gonna get smarter, like another forum, for example, if you went in there with an idea, like I'll give you an example of Retruited Tribe. If you went in there and you're like, hey guys, this Retruited Tribe, it's gonna revolutionize fat loss. It's gonna do it. And then they'll come in there and they'll be like, oh, you're an idiot. You know what I'm talking about. I've been using Clen for 20 years. I know more than you. I've competed, blah, blah, blah. Versus, hey, okay, let's maybe check this stuff out. Maybe this has potential. Oh, wow, these studies look good. That's the difference between Evo and other sites. And that's why we're the most knowledgeable site, because we are like open to hearing, because that's how we get smarter. Anyone who claims to be an expert on Retruited Tribe or retritride, however you want to pronounce it, they're fools because it hasn't even been FDA approved yet. Like no doctor has ever prescribed it yet. So we're all trying this stuff out ourselves. So it's just like for me, it doesn't make any sense that those forums are like that. So that's the like you said, it's a big difference between Evo and other places. We want to hear new ideas. And that's what makes us smarter and gains knowledge. Like if I go fishing and I see some guy catching fish, I'll go up to him like, "Hey, bro, what are you using? What bait are you using? What's your leader look like?" I want to know what he's doing to be successful. And if he comes around and tells me, "Oh, get the fuck out of here," I'm not gonna tell you what I'm doing. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? But like Evo, we want to help people, so it's like, yeah, I'll show you what I'm doing. Look, this is what I'm using. You can do the same thing as I'm doing and be successful. So definitely, like I see where you're coming from for sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the mentality of Evo is very like constructive as a group, which is sort of what you sort of just touch base on then. So many people are willing to have a discussion, and there's a few back and forth debates, but it's always in a positive and constructive manner as well. And I think the more knowledge that you can discuss and learn from as a group, well, everyone just climbs and builds together. Then that's important. Because if it's only a select few holding all the information to themselves and they don't want to share anything, then what's the point of trying to have a community sort of feel? So I think
Yeah.
Evo really nails that. And even for the newer blokes now, like obviously I don't give too much advice on the PED things. Like I'm really sort of at the early stages with that. I I know a little bit now to navigate myself a little bit more accurately, but not accurate as a generality. But for me, the is more getting the new guys involved, feeling a little bit more comfortable talking about the life
Yeah.
sort of stuff as well. And the more comfortable they are, the more interactive they want to become with the other logs, and that compounds as well. That side of things too. It's not just about the gear talk and all that stuff too, because there's a lot of life stuff that goes into the logs that can affect the way cycles produce, or our progress that we make, or you know the progress that we could be making if we're the stresses that sort of come through. So I
Yeah.
think all of it sort of comes in, and those are the parts that I really enjoy getting involved with. Sometimes I feel like I've spent like 2 hours on Evo just trying to answer questions or talking about things with certain people, but man, fuck, I love it too. So
It's
it doesn't
enjoyable,
really
and
bother
yeah,
me.
and the Aussie
Yeah.
community is very, very good. So tell us before we finish up here. We're finishing up here in the next minute. Give us a
Yep.
couple logs that you really like, that you find entertaining, that you really enjoy reading every day.
There's a fella from out west, an Aussie log. His name's Spoon Man.
Yeah.
I think that's
We'll
right,
get him
Spoon
on.
Man.
We're
Yeah,
getting him
and
on.
yeah. He private messaged me, and he was sort of shocked. He goes, "Man," he goes, "I just got this invitation from Steve to go on the podcast." And I said that
Yeah.
I think that's fucking awesome, because I've been following his log and seeing his work ethic, and he's been steering his own ship for so long, and he's done so well. He's like on the OMAD diet and carnivore, and still making like fucking crazy
Mm.
progress. And what he does for work is fucking intense too. Like he's like a rope technician out west, so like he's always hung up rigging with cranes and all that stuff too for Rio Tinto, like out in the mining sites, or the oil rigs
Yeah.
and that as well, doing FIFO roster. Man, he's like gunning it down like a
Yeah.
bull,
So
like
we're gonna have
with
him on
ease.
a. Yeah, it may have already come out, but it's another interview that we're doing with him. So we're gonna definitely get into that as well with him. So that's awesome. And any other logs that you like?
Like there's sort of heaps, I reckon,
I
if I
know,
was sort of
right?
going through it now.
What
Like
about van life? You like van
van
lives?
life is like the funniest, man. I said to him the other day, I said like every if I skip a day or two on his log, it's like, man, I'm catching up like a month's worth of information. I said like I could make a fucking TV series just on
Yeah.
his post updates and the detail that he
Oh
puts in them.
no.
I was like, mate, this would
He was
fucking be
so
like a blockbuster
excited.
seller.
His excitement and joy came across when we were doing the show. We've had a couple of other fellas on, like yourself, with the camera coming on and off, and they were smiling when I was saying certain things. But I didn't do that with Van Life. But Van Life, it was coming across how he was talking. So I think he loves what he's doing, and that excitement and that kind
Mhm.
of almost manic thing comes across, and people. You think like I said, it's real. It's not bullshit. It's not pretending to be a certain thing. That's how he is. That's how he came across in the pre-show. That's how he was on the show. So that's what makes him attractive. That's what makes you want to go and read his stuff. You go, what the fuck has he been up to now, kind of thing. But it's not crazy, stupid stuff. He was way way crazy and whatever else when he was doing
Oh,
the drugs and all over the
sure.
place back in the day. So he's calmed the fuck down, but I can only imagine what he was like before. Good grief.
Mate, he must have been a fucking wrecking ball back in his time. I'm
Oh,
telling you, like,
please.
you see the energy, the positive energy that he's having now. Like, so he must have always sort of run like, at 100 mile an hour. But man, I'm just so happy for him that he's found his spot
Yes.
now, because you look
Yes.
how much he channels his positive energy into this, and man, you can just tell how much he loves it. You can see what kind of bloke he is through his logs and all that stuff too. And what you see is what you get. He's not out to hide anything. He's
No,
very aware of
exactly.
his situation. And fuck, man, he's still killing it too. Like, living out of a fuck, like, cheating the system, and like, it's funny,
Yeah.
like, listening to him talk about it, but living out of a fucking van and just making it work. Like, that's the biggest thing. Like, no matter what you got in front of you, making it work.
That system thing stuck in my mind. He said something like, when I was earning the 6-figure, 7-figure, whatever fuck it was, big salaries back in the day, I probably paid them $1 million plus in taxes over those 10 or 15 years. So I'm not cheating the system. I'm just getting some of my fucking money back.
Shit like that is so fucking good.
Any other logs before we let you go that catch your eye?
So this, I haven't been stuck this whole podcast now until now.
I know you're gonna be afterwards. You're gonna be like, man, I should have mentioned this.
Yeah, I should have fucking got on this.
How about this then, right? Any final words or advice? Just a simple thing that you can suggest to other listeners, to people on the forum that's helped your journey. Just one tip, if you like. Want some positive words, whatever, to finish the show.
All right. Just be completely honest with what you put in your logs too. Like, don't be shy. Don't withhold information because you think you're going to be judged, because you don't know what those little bits of information and how much they're going to be helping someone. That's the biggest thing for me. I think a lot of people sort of don't throw it all out on the table in still in that little bit of mind at their back, saying there might be a little bit of judgment here. But even the little things that happen day to day, if someone can relate to that and then see how you dealt with it and then get something positive to help them navigate their own situation, I think that's super important.
We said from again and again and again, with yourself included, there are for every person that posts a log, for every person that's commenting on a log, there'll be 10, 15, sometimes 100 people that are just reading your log. And if you are making a journey, if you are progressing, if you are doing well, you are helping other people. So a little thing like Allupfromhere said, a small thing that you don't think is that important might be, and if it helps someone else, that's what it's fucking all about. Listen, thank you very much for coming on today. As I said to you in the pre-show, sometimes people come on and they can be a little bit frozen by the microphone. I don't think that was an issue here today. I think you could have out-talked me if you didn't want to, no problem whatsoever. Steve, any final thoughts before we close the show?
Yeah, we appreciate it, guys. Come on, and as all up here said, I mean, this is it's life-changing stuff, and you're living your best life when you wake up every day, and no matter what's going on in your life, grinding and and working out and eating good. And so follow Allupfromhere. He has some great tips on there. Very, very impressive. His log is very, very good.
Thank you so much again, fella.
Guys. Awesome. It's been a pleasure, fellas. Enjoyed it.
Fella. Cheers, fella. Please note, we're not doctors and the opinions are ours. It's our view and based on our experience and views on the topic. Our podcasts are for informational purposes and entertainment only. The freedom of speech and the First Amendment applies.